All right. Are you ready to start?
I am.
Okay. Oh, you got a Christmas hat on.
And what a Christmas film we saw. Thank you.
Let me help you with that, Squirrel. If I may, undress you.
Probably not the best film to talk about with a festive hat on.
Probably not. All right. Yeah, you look good. Okay. Well, hello, movie fans. We are excited to talk today about one of the great films of the year that we saw last night, which is Sinners. Or I'm going to go ahead and say great film. I think that's pretty obvious, and that's what I've always been hearing. So I'm here to join. What about you?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to say it's one of
We're
the
on
great...
the same page.
Yeah, we both agree it's one of the great films. Okay, so Sinners. Sometimes, you know, if I know something's horror, it might take me a minute to get to it, but it was like, okay, come on now. We gotta finally see Sinners. So this is, this movie has like so many layers, and
Yes.
I feel like it even is open to interpretation on like probably mythological levels that one might need to do some more research. I did a little bit of research, and but like considering there's so many things going on, so many kinds of like iconography or whatever, you know, like twins and, you know, getting into mojo bags and everything. So we're going to do our best to do justice in this discussion. But for starters, I think this movie is about following your calling.
Oh, yeah.
Despite whatever, you know, chasing that calling, serving that calling, despite whatever the world tries to put in your way, whether it's disapproval of a parent or frickin' vampires or the KKK. So anyway, I think it's to me, that was kind of like the biggest theme, or the tie through theme. But, you know, I feel like it's also about community, and there's lots of like really important themes in here about like community and mentoring and ideas about the afterlife, and, you know, all kinds of stuff, building a business with people you trust. But yeah, and of course the just like historical just weight of racism, and also joy, you know, and the power of music. There's just so many things. Okay.
Right. So many layers.
What do we want
Which
to say?
is a sign of a good film, when it's layered, but simple premise, really. Two brothers are returning from Chicago, and they want to open their own juke joint.
Right.
Sounds simple enough, but my goodness. And
Not
that's
in the frickin' United States of America.
not in the U.S. in the, 1930s, 1920s?
So, yeah.
Around that time?
Probably ever.
They
in the
mention
United States.
Al Capone. Mm-hmm. And it's like they'd stolen from someone. I like the fact they never really reveal who they've stolen from, but they mention Chicago and Al Capone. I'm like, uh-oh.
But also, they do say that, like, wait, someone makes a connection. Wait, you've got Italian wine and Irish beer.
Oh, right.
You stole from both of them, and they're going to think it's the other.
Yeah.
And you guys, yeah.
So there's this dread thinking they're going to get caught up with, never mind that, vampires. Oh, my goodness. And we both said this while we were watching the film. Talk about a great slow burn. For the first 45 minutes, you think this is a film about music and living your dream.
Right. If you went into this movie not knowing anything, I'm really good about like keeping spoilers away. So I barely knew what this movie was about. I think I've seen the trailer, so I knew it was going to get into something. But for example, I've never seen Fight Club, and I don't know the twist or whatever the heck. So, you know, nobody tell me. Don't tell me about Fight Club in the comments, but one day I'll get to that.
They all fight in it.
Shut up. Okay, cute. I think I do that. With a club. Boom, boom. Anyway.
That would be great.
I probably am going to use my Fight Club. Pow. Anyway, I think that's what that's about. So yes, by the way, two brothers moved back to town, and who are these two brothers? Played by
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. I was like, wow, this is one of the great. Now we did see Twinless earlier this year, and I think we were both convinced that one guy was two different guys. Yeah. However, I feel like this is an even more subtle, like I feel like there was no dramatic wardrobe styling difference between these guys, aside from maybe like a hat color. You know, they were both kind of aesthetically doing a similar thing fashion wise, and still you knew, you know, who was Smoke, who was Stack. And yeah, in my mind, I was kind of like Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. Anyway, or I'm pretty sure their names were Elias and Elijah, if I was catching on.
Oh.
So, and I looked that up, and they are essentially the same name. So unless somebody was saying Elias as a nickname for Elijah, which that's possible, but they may have had two different names that are very similar and are essentially the same name. And if I'm right about that, then that would sort of feed into the idea of twins, maybe like the lore, mythology of twins being like two sides of the same person, doppelganger, you know.
Yeah. I did not catch that subtlety.
I could be wrong, but I was really trying to catch on to what their like actual names were. So like written and directed by Ryan Coogler. So I always love to see too, like when something's written and directed, you just know this is like someone's complete vision. Right. And with Miles Caton as Sammy, the young cousin who they sort of are meeting again for the first time in a long time. And I think that's always such an interesting thing in family, when people kind of like have you kind of pegged a little bit, like, oh, you're our little young cousin who doesn't know too much or whatever. And then you know, he starts playing guitar and singing. Especially when he starts singing, they're like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Like, where is this voice coming from? Like, clearly you have changed and grown since we've seen you last. And, you know, so I really loved the scene. I said, like, I think mentoring is a big thing in this movie. And the scene where Smoke teaches, no, it might have been Stack. I think it was Stack. Sorry, my bad. Stack teaches the girl to haggle with him.
Oh, yeah. When he leaves his truck full of stuff.
Yeah, he leaves a truck full of stuff and says, like, honk if anybody tries to mess with this truck. And then he offers her an amount, and she's like pleased with it. And he was just like, no, that's not good enough. Haggle with me. And I feel like he continues to, you know, he's also trying to mentor Sammy, give him some advice about women, and he's and just the whole like building business with people you know and trust. They're all reaching. It's almost like getting the band back together, like Blues Brothers style, which is like a Chicago thing. And they're coming back from Chicago to deal with what they said, the devil we know, because they're basically saying everywhere they've gone, they've encountered racism.
Right.
And so they want to come back to the place. It's like the devil we know, rather than like maybe some other form of racism that initially purports itself not to be, and then, you know, they discover that it is. So they come back to deal with the devil that they know, and and they're like getting the chows to be a part of, like, hey, make us a sign, hey, we need to buy food, you know, and getting, Smoke goes and says like to his, I guess, ex-wife.
Right. It's hard to tell whether they were ever married or just a couple. Or,
right. Yes.
But there's definitely connection between those two.
Yes, and once she's gonna cook, and also he's been wearing this Mojo bag that she made for him, and she's got a knowledge of these sorts of like spiritual matters, and that definitely is an important piece to the story as it goes on. So yeah, we're chugging along for about 45 minutes, just like in the kind of excitement of watching them preparing to have this juke joint. I want to say, yeah, just in the moment, that rattlesnake scene, that's got to be, symbolism there. There's always something dangerous lurking, maybe something dangerous.
Very, very biblical, snakes, etc.
True.
And they defeat the snake.
Right, but also like somehow they have this inventory or whatever hidden in the truck, but there's like a rattlesnake in it, and there is a rattlesnake in this whole deal that they have with this man, this sort of boss hog kind of dude that they buy this juke joint from. And as we later find out, and I'm assuming you've seen the movie, these are discussions, post-movie viewing discussions, so don't be mad at me, as it turns out, the KKK was always planning on coming back and like attacking them probably like the next day. So in some ways, I feel like there's a certain Tarantino vibe to this movie, in that you take something historical, like a historical despicable force, like he did like the Manson family, or whatever, Nazis.
Sure.
So this is like the KKK, and then put them in a situation that gets weird, that doesn't really historically track, and just give them a big beatdown, a satisfying beatdown.
Oh, very gratifying. Yeah.
Yes. So, but yeah, so this movie is so much about music also. And so maybe let's get into that. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, and I apologize. But so we have Sammy, the musician.
My goodness, that actor, I can't recall. You've probably written his name down.
Miles Caton.
Miles, my goodness, your voice, if you're watching.
Yes.
So rich and buttery. I know I've said that before about other actors, but this voice was so buttery you could spread it on toast. My goodness! And even the characters in the film were like, whoa, when he starts singing. Like, where's that coming from? It was great. Great to hear him. I like that he got a little shout out at the end of the film. They had like a stinger, but then it sort of went back to credits and then back to him just walking into a scene and playing a song. It's like, yep, that was deserved. He's really good at playing guitar and singing. So let's give him a little song at the end of the credits, all of his own. That's fantastic.
I feel like, they were definitely like, this is a person you should know about. And so, and I love, by the way, I also just love the way the movie starts with the sound of tuning an instrument, because I feel like, there is something so powerful about the sound of the tuning of an instrument. It's like, for one thing, like you're looking for things to be in harmony. So you're taking things out of harmony and putting them into harmony. And so that sound of being like, bow, bow, whatever, I'm trying to imitate an out of tune instrument, bow, bow, anyway, and getting into like bow, bow, whatever. Blah. Like, thank you for the law. That sound is very much like, there's something very symbolic about those sounds, because also that's what you do right before you start singing. So it's like what they're doing right before they launch into this story. We're tuning up, and we're trying to put things in harmony.
And we keep saying like, well, hopefully you've seen the film, and if not, if you're on the fence, like, I don't mind about spoilers. Really, there is a scene in this film that is wonderful, so you might know it's a horror film, even if the first 50 minutes are like, nah, it's just a film. and then the horror element, but this scene with music, that was surprising. That they
Yes.
talked about music can break barriers between this world and maybe the
Right.
dead world, but also can break time barriers, and it's a wonderful scene. It just caught me off guard that all of a sudden modern people
Right.
from different ages are in the crowd.
Right.
And it was like, what? Wait, what?
Right. They were talking about the people who are that powerful, who can, and the term griot gets used, who have the power to like pierce the veil between
Right.
different times and different, like, I don't know, dimensions or something. And then that was like a really cool scene where all of a sudden all these characters come out, all these characters from different timelines and definitely in the future were in the bar while he's singing. And
the camera's all moving all the time, going into
Yeah.
different rooms. It's all one big long cut, which was great, but just how they blended like modern, just people through different times into the crowd. So it wasn't like jarring, like, look, there's like, somebody from the future just popped in like Michael J. Fox or something. It's like they're dancing in the crowd and sort of the camera focuses on them like, look, that's from the 90s. That's from now.
right.
That's from the past.
Right.
But
And
not the 1930s. It's the far past. I thought that was a wonderful scene and was not expecting that. I had heard that, I knew the film was a horror film, and then someone said they do something interesting with music, and that was the only thing I knew
yeah.
in a review I saw, and I was
Right.
like, I wonder what they do, and then this scene just threw me for a loop. I'm like, that's amazing.
Right, right. And I think when people talk about like the ancestors and everything,
Right.
like, it's like you really felt that in this scene that like, and it was just, okay. And another thing that happened, this kind of ties in, is like when they're driving in the car and the guy is talking about the Slim, what was his name? Delta
Slim?
Delta Slim, was that his name?
Yeah.
He was talking about his friend and who was going to try to take money that they made. He was going to go off and do something with it.
Oh, they were all on a chain gang or something, no, they all got arrested.
Right.
And the cops threw them in jail and then heard them singing and took them on like a weird cops in charge
Right.
singing tour that they made a ton of money.
Right. And he says they like the blues but not the people who make it.
Right.
And so there's this story where he's telling where like his friend had money and was going to go somewhere else with that money, and then somebody saw the money and fabricated a story that he had stolen the money and, raped a woman or something like this, and he gets lynched on the spot. And Delta Slim's telling this story, and he's like, he's reliving the pain, and
Right.
it's like almost in one movement. He's making a sorrowful sound over this story, and then in one smooth movement, it becomes a melody. And I think one of the things this movie is talking about is like authenticity, and not that like these things should never have happened to anyone.
Right.
But I think what they're saying is when people come along and when white people come along and try to emulate, appropriate, like something like the blues, and it's unearned. It's unearned because they may or may not. Now, who knows what happens to each person individually? But I think the idea is like the weight of being in a society that's built like this, and just the weight upon you, and trying to find a way to still survive and have beauty and dignity and like power and all of that, and going from that pain into like this melody, like that's earned. That's
and that maybe music can be transformative. Like he's telling a very upsetting story.
right.
Starts humming just to be like, you know what? I don't want to keep telling this story. You get the point. I'm going to hum a tune and it becomes music.
Right.
And it can change your mood. Music can change the mood you're in.
Right.
And that's what I got from that too.
And it's like emotionally, psychologically like necessary
Yes.
in that moment.
Right.
So yeah, we're chugging along for about 45 minutes before we discover that there are vampires among us, and these vampires are in the shape of the Lumineers. I don't know. These vampires, yeah, are like quickly become. I don't know if the first guy Remick was a musician at the very beginning, but all I know is very quickly, and we see the KKK outfit in the background in this little house that the first vampire comes to. But when you invite the vampire in, that's the thing. And the fun vampire lore throughout this. I mean, sorry, fun. I don't know. The knowing and deploying of vampire lore throughout this movie gets really exciting. So these vampires come in and recruit two more. This vampire comes in and recruits two more vampires. And next thing you know, they are a folk trio. And they come to the juke joint and they're singing a song called Pick Poor Robin Clean. And they're, to me, I was like laughing during this because it is disarming to suddenly have the vampires like, singing this song. But I looked into it, and that song was written by Gishi Wiley. It was written by a black woman. It was from 1931. So I think this takes place in 1932.
Wow. Good research.
Thank you. So basically they are appropriating, and they start playing the song, and the guys are like, oh, that's pretty good. They are able to do the motions of it great. But maybe the question is, and this is just occurring to me now, do they have soul? Does a vampire have a soul? Is this a question of soul? Do vampires have souls?
No.
Okay.
Not in traditional vampire lore or what I remember from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
No, they would all try to get their soul back.
So
But they can have a soul but also there was something I'm not sure about, not that up on vampire lore, but I did like their, you each get everybody's memories. So whoever you've bitten becomes a vampire and got their memories. So everybody was one big collective mind. So I wonder if that's how he knew how to sing. Because, I enjoyed that too, where it's like, we're just allies for the black people. Look, we just want to come and sing, and we've got money to spend. And they seem so innocuous and like, come on, just let us in. That's all you got to do.
Cool if we just come across that threshold right there.
And our main characters are smart, and they're like, something very sus about these three. Nope, you're not coming in. Sorry.
Yeah, and and they talk a lot about fellowship and love.
Right.
And yeah.
Which was creepy as hell.
Right. And also one of the first vampires to infiltrate the bar is a white woman.
Right.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Hailee Steinfeld,
right.
Her character goes out to try to talk to these people, actually gets bitten. It was a clever thing in this movie that they were sometimes getting bitten where you couldn't see the bite, not just the neck.
Right,
so
right.
people could waltz back in and you didn't know they were vampires because it was on their back or something.
And that was a good scene of, vampires fly, and they cut away very quickly when the guy launches in the air. Mm-hmm. It's like he gets about 5 feet off the ground, unnaturally high, cut. And it's like, okay, that didn't look silly. That was scary. I know you were like, whoa, when he did it. Because, that's genuinely kind of terrifying to see somebody jump into the air that high to come and get you. So there's no running away from these vampires. They're going to get you.
Right. And so, so she's the first person to kind of come in as a vampire and start this whole chaos. So, I feel like the two Michael B. Jordans, Smoke and Stack, they kind of had a different, one was a little more playful and maybe, and the other one was a little like more wary. And this comes to a point where they're trying to decide whether or not to sell a beer to a guy that doesn't really have enough money. Some of the stuff he has are like almost like coupons or something.
Oh, it's the wooden nickels.
Yeah, and the twins are kind of arguing about like, hey, we need to establish this place as a place where people feel welcome, like it's their place.
Right.
Versus, hey, we can't start off accepting less than the price. And
so yeah, I like one twin is like, you gotta spend a little money to make a little money.
Right.
And the other one's like, nope.
Right.
That's not how you do business.
So it's kind of the twin duality there.
Right.
So yeah, and eventually we have more and more of the people from inside the bar have joined this like hoedown. So the vampires are dancing together, singing together, fusing styles. So it was getting a little like Irish dance out there, but then, people were singing along and it was kind of like a melding of cultures. So, maybe that's something to unpack too. Like, is it wasn't as much appropriation anymore. They were singing maybe more of an Irish song, and then it was being influenced by the new vampires singing along and maybe adding like bluesier notes to it and stuff. So I don't know.
It felt like it was definitely mirroring, but in a more kind of creepy way. The earlier scene of like music can be transformative and break through time barriers, and then how old is the main vampire? So if everyone gets his memories and he gets everyone else's memories, everybody has this music knowledge of different, like you said, Irish, probably someone was from overseas. So it's the same kind of scene of, look, music through the ages, but it's not as fun when it's creepy vampires dancing in the dark. That kind of visual was terrifying to me.
Right.
There was a lot of long shots of just, you can kind of see people in the dark near a field dancing, and you're like, I would not walk towards that. That's frightening me. Yeah.
And it just feels like, again, the weight of like, the people in the bar are cornered, they're cornered by circumstances different than what it would have been the next day with the KKK. But, this wild supernatural thing. And eventually, so many people they love are on the outside, kind of urging them to just like, come on, join us. Like, it's awesome. And I love when it's the jar of pickled garlic.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So yeah, they start assembling and making steaks, and it's all very like, come on, maybe like the sort of, I don't know, they talk about like the all hope is lost moments or whatever, like, these classic moments in movies. But anyway, when they start like getting ready, everyone's got some garlic. Everyone's had to taste the garlic. Everyone's to show that they're not actually a vampire. And then they're making the steaks and they're ready. And it is Miss Chow, right, who invites them in.
Oh, because of her daughter is outside and they know. Like, when we will pay a visit to your daughter in town. And she's like, why I oughta.
That was so haunting. That was so, that I felt that on such a deep level. And I understood her in that moment.
Oh, sure.
She's just like, okay, come on in then, And it's just like.
And really, like, that's kind of the only thing she could do, because what would stop them from just like, well, some of us are going into town because we kind of are unstoppable force.
Right.
With this, like, virus-like bite that you... Yeah. The fact that she kind of starts making a Molotov cocktail, and people are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, they kind of know what she's about to do, and she's like, just come on in then.
Yeah.
And the big barn doors open, and that's like, what is gonna... I was not expecting that to be like, the vampires just come flooding in, you're like, are all our main characters about to die?
Right. And it's a major fight scene, intense, all kinds of methods of fighting happening. There's fire, there's stakes, there's, everything. And we end up with very few characters surviving. But Sammy's in the water. Now, Sammy's father is a preacher. And one thing I thought was maybe about to happen, he's in the water. And I was like, wait, his father's a preacher. Is he about to bless this whole body of water that he's in, and it is going to turn into holy water and fry all the vampires in it? I was like,
that would have been fantastic.
Is that about to happen?
And he starts saying the Lord's Prayer, right?
Yeah, I think
and they all join in, like the vampires join in, kind of mocking him. And I thought, oh, this is it. You called it. He's going to finish this prayer, and the water will have been blessed.
Like
and
sizzle.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Also,
instead, it's like a couple of other vampire films I've seen where vampires just, don't wear a watch and keep track of time, and the sun comes up. So, hey, maybe it's dawn. Right.
Maybe you shouldn't have got so distracted.
But yeah, the blessing of the pond they were in would have been great, and maybe, someone who worked on the film will see that and go, oh, damn it, that was a better idea.
But then again, what are the qualifications required for turning something into holy water? Maybe you need to be ordained or something.
Or just believe. Who knows? Maybe Sammy didn't really believe.
Also, and again, this would have, I was texting with my son about this because he loved the movie, and I was like, I kind of thought the thing about accessing the, people from the past and the future through music was going to play more of a role, and then it was like, but that would have been like such a different movie, and it could have gotten very Bill and Ted or something, if they came out to help him in this moment or something. But yeah, so Sammy survives, and how does Smoke find out that they were going to kill him anyway? Does he just sense it? Or how?
Somebody tells him, like, it's not... Because when they're buying the old mill, either Smoke or Stack notices something on the floor. And he's like, what are you all doing here?
Oh, yeah, he was like, what, you cleaned the floor? What was on it or something?
And then later someone says to him, like, it was a killing floor, it's a setup.
It's a slaughterhouse.
It's a slaughterhouse, so...
Yeah. So somehow, and I can't remember what's the moment where he realizes, but that they were planning...
Well, I guess the first vampire victims are in the clan. So he would have their memories, and he would have his memories to say, we've set these fellas up, we're gonna go get them in the morning.
Did the vampires tell him that as they were dying?
So someone did. I don't know, it shows you how crazy and chaotic the end was.
I mean, really, but basically, yeah.
There was so much going on, places was on fire. Yeah, like you said, some of the vampires were outside, and they did change vampire lore of, like, they killed the head vampire Lost Boy style.
Yeah.
But some of the vampires just run away. And I was like, nah, they should have all died. But then, you get that end scene where it's like, how did those two get away? And they've caught up with Sammy in his old age. And I was like, but they killed the head vampire. And then they kind of tack on some dialogue going, oh, these vampires are different.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about the head vampire lore. What a MLM. But anyway, so Smoke is prepared. All the Boss Hog types like drive up, and it turns into a Rambo style. Like, to me, that felt very Rambo with him with like the machine gun and the tank top and everything.
Right.
Like,
and this,
I've never seen Rambo.
I know why the scene happens at the time it does. You can't have the vampires running around, but my little quibble was, oh, the clan should have showed up while the vampire fight was going. It could have been just a maelstrom of the clan going, what is going on? We thought we were going to have like our crazy time here, and now it's vampires jumping high in the air and killing people. And anyway, the way the film played out, though, I mean, it kind of had to. They had to show up during the day with like hundreds of vampires turned to ash.
Right.
But I kind of wanted a big old fight at the end. But it was also very gratifying that the clan got their comeuppance.
Yes.
That was so good.
Yes, and Smoke joined, his baby and his love in the afterlife successfully. because he had put the stake through the heart, and he got to move on. But
and I love how he's shot the head of the clan, but he's not dead, and he's like, "You got a cigarette?" And the head of the clan's like, eventually gives him a cigarette, and then sees his love and his baby, and she's like, "You can hold her if you put that cigarette down." And as he's doing that and reaching for his child, the clan guy kind of breaks him from his vision by going like, "Hey, I got money." It's like, "Shut up, man. Shut up." So then he shoots him some more, and it's like, good.
Yes. So we see, so like Stack lives on, as says Hailee Steinfeld, as like a vampire couple. Who knows what are they going around and like biting people's necks? Right. I guess so.
That's a whole nother film.
And who knows, over this many years, because then we flash forward, they're not allowed to kill Miles, and they're not allowed to kill Sammy. And so Sammy's able to talk to them backstage. Sammy, even though, as it's sort of the bookend of the film or whatever, he shows up with just, with the start of the movie, something's gonna go down, because he shows up with just the neck and the headstock of his guitar, and wait, what just happened? And he's got like slashes across his face, and so that scene is gonna be coming in a day, and it does, and you think like, oh, is he going to like listen to his dad and drop music? But he doesn't. He goes off, and maybe they had again the mentoring. They had told him about like a town he could go to, that everything was like black owned, it was real, and the only reason the Smoke and Stack couldn't do it is like the people there knew his dad and thought that they were bad news because of their dad, so they weren't welcome there. But anyway, so maybe that's where Sammy went. In any case, he goes on to be a successful, blues musician, and that he's on stage at a place called Perlene's, named after the singer that he was kind of in love with.
Right. Yeah.
And
so great touches.
Yeah, great touches.
And also a great sign of a great film is you can see the other films. I know Hollywood has a tendency to be like, well, let's make that film. No, don't. You don't need to. But there's a whole nother film of, those two in the 90s as vampires. I could see a whole nother film of like 90s style vampires. There's a whole other film of the Choctaw natives chasing vampires. Like, they seem like the wisest characters in the film.
Right.
And there's a whole nother movie there.
Yeah.
So Hollywood, you know what? The movie's better in my head. You don't need to make those. You don't need to make the prequel and the sequel.
Oh, and I always like to talk about the title, and
Yeah.
I don't, in a Justice for, I feel like, I don't know, I want to say Justice for Cornbread, but anyway, I liked Cornbread, that was unfair.
Cornbread was great.
But,
and the whole invite me in, it's like, wait a minute, you've been in and out this building the whole night. What do you need an invite for now? No reason.
But also, the title, Sinners, it does open with a church,
Right.
And what I remember was that we're all sinners. Like, that was the idea, in church. It's like, we're all sinners. So maybe...
Not as squirrels. Sorry.
Well, that must be nice.
It is.
So maybe it's like all of us, all of us are, I don't know why was it named Sinners. But I think maybe it's that, like, when it comes down to it, if it's a religious thing, which that's like kind of a word that gets thrown around in religion more than other places, maybe it's that we're all sinners, and so no one is completely. I don't know.
And in that time, like they certainly
stuff to think about there.
They certainly make out that music is the devil's work in religious, like in the the father that was the pastor,
Well, maybe secular music.
right, kept wanting him to put down that guitar, even though it was only part of a guitar.
But how could, yeah. And again, so there's different kinds of religion and spirituality being represented in the movie.
Right.
So maybe you're called sinners in, like, say, Christianity. Maybe a Christianity-based religion would call you sinners, but maybe this, other kinds of spirituality, would call you a griot. I don't know. So that's something. All right, maybe we arrived at it. I don't know. Anyway, what did you think of this movie? I'm so glad we finally saw it, and we'd love to hear your comments, and if you have any suggestions for new movies coming out you'd love for us to go see and talk about, we're totally reading your comments, and we appreciate them a lot. And we appreciate all the new subscribers that have come along. That's been awesome. And check out our Instagram. Sometimes it's Cinema Girl, Cinema Squirrel on Instagram. Sometimes we put like clips from the reviews. Sometimes we sing a song. And there's, I think we might be trying to cover Pick Poor Robin Clean.
Sure.
It's sometime soon on Instagram, so keep an eye out for that. And have a great day. Have a great day watching movies.
Yeah.